Hey everyone, Neverwish here and welcome back to WoTLabs TV. Today we're here with Das Viking from the NA server driving his T-54, the tier 9 Russian medium tank, on the map of Prokhorovka. If we look at the tank list, we're gonna see that the matches is made up primarily of heavy tanks with a few TDs here and there. And what this means is that if done right, this game could turn into a very nice damage farm. However, at the start of the match, Das Viking does something that is very controversial, and he goes for the hill. Now from the south spawn, usually what you want to do is go to the center of the map. This way you can shoot at things that are being spotted at the hill. The only reason you want to go to the hill on the south spawn is if nobody else on your team goes for it. But as we can see from looking at the minimap, yes, a lot of his team decided to go to the hill. The result of that is that Das Viking is going to spend a lot of the beginning of the match just shooting at a T-32 with very little effect. And that is mostly due to the fact that T-54 lacks the necessary accuracy to be able to engage a target at such range. Usually to do that you'd be looking at a E-50M, for example. So as you can see, looking at the minimap again, only two of his teammates went to the middle of the city. That means that they're not going to be able to put out much effective fire on the hill. And they're going to be busy with the guys right in front of him. So now his team finally reaches the top of the hill and they start engaging the enemy there. However, this soon turns out to be a very one-sided battle. Das Viking is still trying to get that T-32. The shell doesn't go anywhere near it. And at this point his team is getting slaughtered on top of the hill. Now Das Viking now realizes the problem and he starts moving up to help his team. They just lost... oh, there we go. They just lost one of their tanks. Centurion is almost dead. He begins to put some fire on the Wheezy 111, who apparently just decides that the best course of action here is to YOLO Das Viking. And generally what you want to do when you're engaging enemies on the hill is to keep as close to the red line as you possibly can. This way people who are at E6 cannot put very effective fire into you. He does some nice juking here and gets around the Wheezy, who promptly decides that the IS is a more important target than Das Viking. This decision by the Wheezy 111 was extremely wrong, and it's gonna prove to be probably the reason, one of the main reasons why the match ended the way it did. Now Das Viking notices the scout rushing and he decides correctly that that is the priority target. So he focuses on it and helps his team bring him down. Very nice choice of target there. One more shot of the T-32 goes absolutely nowhere. And now he gets shot at by the people who are in the middle of the map. And that's why you generally want to keep to the red line, as it makes those shots just a little bit more difficult, if not impossible. So now looking at the minimap, again, the guys at the 1 line, 1-2 line have just begun their push. Now on this map there are two main key areas that you need to control, which is the 1 line and the hill. And if you lose control of those areas, you will lose. He starts using some very nice hold down position, using the terrain to his advantage, as well as the very bouncy turret of the T-54 to be able to put some very effective fire on the cupola of the A-75. And with some help from the guys in the middle of the map, he managed to take down the A-75 very easily. Again, now he's keeping close to the red line. The enemy on the middle of the map have far less effective fire on him. So he's able to safely engage the targets that are up on the hill. Again, bouncing shots, making sure to keep the dead enemies between him and the Patton. Decides to go forward, takes out the T-34, however, as he kept the dead tanks between him and the Patton, he was able to keep himself from taking much damage. At this point, he notices two things happening. First one, the one line is dead. They lost their entire force. And second, the enemy is starting to push on the middle. So he stops briefly to try to help out the guys in the middle before returning to the close to the red line to begin engaging again targets. And now he knows that he must win the hill if he wants to win this game. So he starts moving forward, using the dead body of the E-75 to show as little of his tank as possible, manages a bounce. Another bounce with some very nice angling of the frontal armor. And he's now putting some very effective damage on that Patton. Indian Panzer now coming up, manages to get a shot on him. Bounces another nice shot there. He is now running kind of low on health. And he knows he has a very big... Oh, nice shot right on the top of the turret of the Patton, who will, of course, express his displeasure at what just happened to him. Now he shot the Indian Panzer and he decides that enough is enough. He has to flush that Indian Panzer out of there, and he needs to get to the center of the map where he can be more effective. Trades a shot there but kills the Indian Panzer. He is now one-shottable to pretty much anything left on the enemy team. He knows that the only tanks left are tier 8s, and as he's a tier 9, he probably can bully the rest of the enemy team, so he decides that the best course of action here is to go for a direct engagement. However, important thing to know here is that you must be really secure of your own skills if you decide that you can bully the enemy team. And Das Viking, he's on a top tier tank, he is confident in his skills, so he's going for it. Uses the tracks to keep himself hold down, tries to hit the very soft roof of the IS-3, however, the T-54 again is no E-50M. Forces the IS-3 to use his repair kit with a nice shot on the tracks, and now he begins his dance. Keep himself moving all the time, make sure that the enemy can only shoot at his turret, and he's about to completely bully a full health tier 8 tank without taking a single point of damage in return. And now he tracks the IS-3 and goes around it to make sure that he cannot keep up with his movements, to make sure he gets that very easy penetration. And now he goes over the tracks, finds the Jagdtiger, and oh, he almost got killed there. That is probably the worst mistake he made during the entire game, and it could have cost him the game. I understand that his adrenaline is probably really high right now, but going over the tracks like that, especially when an enemy can see you, he is extremely lucky that he did not get killed there. Now he knows where the KV-3 is, roughly, so he makes a very wide curve around him, and there he is, full health. However, The KV-3 cannot see him. He is completely unspotted, and that poor KV-3 has no idea what's going on. Oh, unlucky dirt hit there. He's running very low on ammo. That was his second to last shell. Only HE left after that. Puts a shot in him, sets him on fire, and game over. At the end of the match, he takes home a bunch of medals, including Radley Walters, Steel Wall, High Caliber, Top Gun, Ace Tanker, and a bunch of other awards. He does over 8,000 points in damage, gets 8 kills, and completely carries the crap out of that game. In this game, Das Viking showed some excellent skills such as target selection, armor angling, and especially situational awareness, and was able to recognize what was going on the other flanks and react accordingly. He made a few mistakes, such as going to the hill at the beginning of the game and especially looking over the tracks when he found that Jagdtiger and almost got killed. But other than that, he proved to be a highly skilled player and was able to carry the game entirely on his back. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more episodes. Also hit that like button and share with your friends. I'm sure they're gonna enjoy it as much as I did. See you next time.